The United States of America used a secret weapon for the first time. The news that shocked the whole world today, but which explains how the United States managed to capture the Venezuelan dictator Nicolas Maduro so easily. Donald Trump's favorite newspaper, the New York Post, writes today that, according to their sources from the White House, during the military operation in Venezuela on January 3rd, the United States used a powerful secret weapon that allowed them to neutralize both Venezuelan soldiers and military equipment. Allegedly, one of the security staff of Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro said that they were paralyzed by some kind of sonic weapon and simply couldn't resist the American special forces. It is claimed that unknown drones first appeared over Caracas, which began to jam the Venezuelan military's radio and communications, after which American military helicopters calmly entered Caracas's airspace. And at that moment, Nicolas Maduro's security was already struck by an unknown weapon and physically couldn't offer any resistance. There was also a version claiming the White House just bribed everyone close to Maduro. But later, the Minister of Defense of Venezuela, Vladimir Padrino Lopez, stated that the soldiers from Maduro's security detail fought back and most of them were killed. Moreover, there is evidence that army forces were deployed to the center of Caracas and the airport runways were blocked. The Venezuelan military tried to resist, but without success. So in this episode, let's discuss the new theory about the superweapon of the United States of America. My name is Alexei Pecci. We'll discuss this complex topic, but before we begin, I ask you to subscribe to this channel, give it a like, and leave any comment under this episode. This really helps a lot in promoting the content on YouTube, and I would be very grateful to you for that. Also, subscribe to my Telegram channel, Pecci News. The link is in the description of this video. There we publish breaking news as it comes in. So, the New York Post is publishing today the testimony of a witness to the capture of Nicolas Maduro, who claims that the United States of America used a powerful, mysterious weapon that effectively paralyzed the Venezuelan soldiers. Blood started coming from their noses and some of them began vomiting blood. One of Nicolas Maduro's guards described how American troops destroyed hundreds of fighters without losing a single soldier, using technology unlike anything he had ever seen or heard of. And now I'll give you the exact quotes from that very fighter from the close protection of Venezuela's president Nicolas Maduro. For convenience, I'll refer to him as the bodyguard. And who is asking the questions? The interviewer. The bodyguard is speaking. On the day of the operation, we didn't hear anything. We were on guard, but suddenly all our radar systems shut down without explanation. The next thing we saw were drones, a lot of drones flying over our positions. How are we supposed to react to that? Interviewer. What happened next? How did the main attack unfold, bodyguard? After the drones appeared, a few helicopters arrived, no more than 8, though I counted 9 in the video. Only about 20 soldiers descended from them. However, these people were extremely technologically equipped. They didn't resemble anyone we had fought before. Interviewer. And then the battle began. Bodyguard. Yes. But it was a real massacre. There were hundreds of us, but we didn't stand a chance. They fired with such accuracy and speed, it seemed like each soldier was firing 300 rounds per minute. There was nothing we could do. Interviewer. Didn't your own weapons help? Guard. No help at all, because it wasn't just about the weapons. At some point they used something. I don't know how to describe it. It felt like a very powerful sound wave. Suddenly I felt like my head was exploding from the inside. All of us started bleeding from our noses. Some were vomiting blood. We fell to the ground, unable to move. Interviewer. Were your comrades able to resist? Bodyguard. No, not at all. Those 20 people, without suffering any losses, killed hundreds of us. We couldn't stand against their technology or weapons. I swear I've never seen anything like it. We couldn't even get up after that sound weapon or whatever it was. Interviewer. So, do you think the rest of the region should think twice before getting into a conflict with the Americans? Bodyguard. Without a doubt, I warn anyone who thinks they can fight the United States, they have no idea what they're capable of. After what I saw, I never want to be on the other side again. It's better not to mess with them. Interviewer: now that Trump has stated that Mexico is on this list, do you think the situation in Latin America will change? Bodyguard: definitely. Everyone is talking about it. No one wants to relive our experience. Now everyone will think twice. What happened here will change not only Venezuela, but the entire region. Well, I should note here that according to official estimates from the Venezuelan Ministry of Internal Affairs, about 100 Venezuelan security personnel were killed as a result of the attack on January 3rd. Plus, Cuba Zoo declared that 40 of their fighters also died, so that's 140 people. It's officially unclear whether any of these incidents were caused by this mysterious weapon. But I'll note that in American intelligence, it's been said for a long time that the United States has had the technology for so-called directed energy weapons for many years. And one of the intelligence sources told the New York Post that some systems are actually capable of causing, well, at least some of the symptoms that the Venezuelan military officer mentioned. At the same time, the question of why the Venezuelan army did not put up any resistance arose immediately. Bribery was suggested right away. It's the most logical explanation. There were reports that the current president of Venezuela, Delcy Rodriguez, and her brother might have been holding behind-the-scenes talks with the Americans even before the capture of Nicolas Maduro. But that doesn't change the fact that the Venezuelan military was clearly trying to implement a defense plan against an American landing. Well, for example, at the airport and at the airbase near Caracas, they blocked the runways, urgently moved planes out and parked them on the runways to block them. According to a statement by Venezuelan Defense Minister Vladimir Padrino Lopez, soldiers from Nicolas Maduro's security detail engaged in combat and were mostly killed. They managed to hit one of the helicopters and wound several American Special Forces soldiers. And immediately after the attack, army forces and armored vehicles appeared in the center of Caracas. Reserves began to be deployed to the city, but by that time the United States Army operation was already over. The actions, or rather the inaction, of the Venezuelan air defense deserves special mention. Judging by the published videos, the air defense of Caracas was suppressed in the very first minutes of the invasion, as well as the early warning and air target detection systems. Thus, the radars on the hills above the city were destroyed, and the Buk missile system launchers, as well as the long-range S-300 missile system division deployed about 100 kilometers south of Caracas, were disoriented due to the countermeasures of American electronic warfare forces. In addition, Venezuelan army personnel tried at least once to use the Igla-S man-portable air defense system, which the Russians had supplied to them. And as could be seen, the missile did not find its target and simply exploded on the hill above the city. The lack of massive use of man-portable air defense systems can also be explained by the element of surprise and the difficulties in troop management caused by the effects of American electronic warfare systems. The Americans could have jammed communications, as the Venezuelan military claims. And, the United States has actually been involved in overthrowing and capturing heads of state before, including in Caribbean countries. You don't have to look far for examples. In 1983, the United States Army captured the small country of Grenada, and at the turn of 1989-1990, the United States overthrew and captured the de facto dictator of Panama, Manuel Noriega. And in both cases, the United States conducted combined arms operations, which included urban combat, casualties among military personnel and civilians, large-scale destruction, and so on. But this time, none of that happened, which leads to the thought that the United States might have used some kind of new weapon, because this operation went too smoothly. Friends, what do you think? Could the United States military have used some kind of sonic weapon, or do you lean more toward the idea that the Americans simply bribed Maduro's inner circle? Write your opinion in the comments below this video. I'll leave it at that for now, friends. If you found this episode interesting and useful, you can support the work of this YouTube channel financially with any donation. Use the links and details in the video description or the QR code on your screen to do this. I will be grateful for any support you can give. That's all for now. Take care of yourselves. Goodbye, everyone. Subtitles created by Dimatorzok.